Great. Good evening, Hatfield. Welcome to the November 19th, 2024 meeting of the Select Board. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And as usual, we're going to start with the reading of our public participation policy. The Hatfield Select Board welcomes everyone to its meetings and all other public meetings of the town of Hatfield. All regular and special meetings of the boards and committees of the town of Hatfield shall be open to the public and shall conform to the open meeting law. Executive sessions are closed to the public and will be held only as prescribed by the statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It is important to recognize that the open meeting law affords the opportunity to listen to the proceedings, but not necessarily participate. During meetings of the Select Board, an attempt will be made to find a balance between hearing from members of the community and conducting the required business of the Hatfield Select Board. In terms of announcements, I would just like to start first by welcoming Andrew Levine to his first official or public meeting of the Select Board. So we're delighted to have you here. How's it going?
It's going great.
Excellent. Excellent. I know you're having a lot of opportunity to spend time with Marlene and meet everybody in the building and in the other departments in town. So we're grateful you're here. We welcome you, and we're glad you're having some overlap.
Thank you.
Did you want to add anything else?
I'll just say I'm very grateful to the town and the board, both for this opportunity and for the overlap with Marlene. Just to have this time, a lot of new administrators and managers don't get that. So to be able to learn from her and to find out what's going on in town is just a fantastic opportunity and really something I appreciate. So thank you to the town for making that possible. And then thanks to everyone who I've gotten to meet so far. And I look forward to meeting more people in the community. So this is a great start.
Excellent. Excellent. A couple of things. I just want to, do you have anything before I get into my?
I have a couple announcements.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to thank Jerry Rogers for putting on the Veterans Breakfast downstairs and thank some of her helpers. Our town administrator Marlene was there and John Robinson was there. So I know the veterans appreciated that and they all got a nice little gift afterwards. And also I want to thank all the people for attending the exercises on 11/11 in front of Town Hall. It was a nice little ceremony. It was nice to see the town folks come out for that. So those are my thanks to the folks.
That's great. Those are always such nice events. I was out of town and had to miss all of it. So I'm glad that you were there. Do you have anything before I make some?
No, I don't.
Okay. Just want to remind everybody the holiday tree lighting, which is really being overseen by the Council on Aging, is happening on December 5th at 5:30. That's right out here at Smith Academy Park. And that should be a nice evening. I know there'll be music, so that'll be really nice. A reminder that Luminarium is on December 21st, which is the Saturday night before Christmas Eve, just as it always is. With one change, and that is that a determination has been made to not have the fireworks this year because of the drought conditions. The planning for that has to start now. So the decision has to be made whether or not we're doing them. And clearly that would, at this point in time, not be a good decision, not a wise decision. So everyone's going to be sad about no fireworks. But I think most of us would agree that given the extreme conditions that we're experiencing, it would probably be not advisable to shoot off fireworks at this time. So we're still going to have a great time. There will be an announcement coming out about that on social media, on our website, with a little bit more details. There's a float contest this year that's new, being added. Yep. So watch for details about that. That should make it a lot more fun. A lot of people put effort already into having their trailers and everything. So now it's going to be, I guess, a competition.
Great.
Game on.
All right.
Yeah. So that'll be great. And I wanted to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is coming up next week, and I hope you all have a great holiday and get to spend lots of time with family and friends and stuffing the turkey. So that's it. No one has no other announcements? Okay. Public forum is, oh my goodness, look at the hands shoot right up. Well, Chief, we'll let you go first. Are you two together? John and?
More or less.
Okay, great.
So actually.
Is Roland with you or you're separate?
No, I'm separate.
Separate, okay. You just need to introduce yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Bill Belden, Pantry Road.
John Pease, 2 North Hatfield Road.
So the reason we're here tonight is, and we know you can't do anything, but we're trying to bring awareness. We're both driving school buses in town, and we're having a lot of problems with people going through red lights. I had 4 incidents on Elm Street alone in 1 week. I had 2 in 1 day. And it's unacceptable. I mean, these people need to learn to, when they see our amber lights, they got to know that we're going to be stopping and to watch for the red lights. And it's just, I almost quit a couple weeks ago because I was so sick of it. I mean,
Don't do that, William. Don't do that. No. Hey.
we have to, we're watching the students, either get on or get off. And we have to watch our rear to see if anybody's coming. We have to watch from the front. We have to watch the kids on the bus. And the first thing you do when you say something, to somebody, we've mentioned it to the police. Well, get a plate number. Well, we can't.
Right.
So I'm here to encourage you as the board, hopefully to, maybe encourage and put out a public service announcement to have the, if somebody's following us and they see somebody go through a red light, please write the number down and turn it into the police, and it would help us out a lot, I mean, we can't do it all. And we're trying to keep these kids safe, and it's just, it's gotten ridiculous, to tell you the truth. out there.
That's, alarming.
It is,
That's
it
happening
is.
like that. This is nothing new. Stopping for school buses has been going on for decades.
Right.
It couldn't be more clear, right? When you're slowing down and when you're stopping.
Right.
I mean, so certainly, residents who are watching this, please, stop for these school buses. We've got all these great kids getting on and off those buses. We need them to be safe in town. And I see your point about not being able to capture that yourself in terms of the information on the cars and everything. But, that's really distressing that you're seeing
Each year
that this
we ask
much.
people to stop for the buses to make sure. I know in Florida, they actually they passed some kind of law where school buses now have a camera where the police department can use that camera to do citations. I don't know if that's legal in Massachusetts, but it's something maybe we should inquire about.
But it's an added expense too,
Right.
for
That's just shocking
Eventually
that
it's gonna
people
come
don't want
down
to
to-
stop for a bus.
I know, I
Yeah.
can't,
That's just-
right, I just can't imagine, because who would endanger
Yeah.
kids' lives like that? Can I just ask, is it more common, say, out on 5 and 10 or some of the busier roads, or is it just as common on the smaller roads?
We're all on Elm Street.
Elm Street.
I've had a couple on West Street. I've had one on Chestnut Street, it's all over, but Elm Street and West Street are my 2, but I don't have many.
I mean, I guess it depends on your
Pickups on
route
West
too,
Street.
right? You're driving different routes. What about you, John?
Depot Road, Elm Street. That's about besides it.
Yeah,
Yesterday afternoon, I have 3 Smith Folk students that I pick up on the curbside in the morning, then they have to cross the street in the afternoon. So up at the corner of Dwight and Elm Street, the young man gets off, the red lights are going, 1 car goes through, second one, I had to hammer on the horn. I wish I had some like 36-inch trumpet air horns on the bus to blow into their ears. I've seen the truck the other day.
He got used to driving emergency
Yeah.
vehicles with those.
That's
Yeah.
the way to, get a hold of somebody's attention. Then I look like the asshole. And it's like, hello,
Right.
if that student had earplugs and they can't tell me, they can't hear me say, Josh or Pete or Mary, don't go across the street. They're already, if you want to ask somebody, ask Carol Benson. She's a grandmother that used to pick up her students across from her residence.
Mhm.
And those kids almost got hit many times.
Yeah.
I don't know if she threw something at a driver once. I think she did, but I don't think the driver came back to ask her any questions. But and those kids always look up the bus and look down the other way. And if you know Cajun, he was little at the time.
Mhm.
These are all
Both ways to
Massachusetts
go
plates
across.
that you know of.
But-
Pretty much, yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
much.
they're all, yeah.
And it's in other towns too.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
Right,
Yeah,
I'm
right,
sure.
but,
Yeah.
it's just,
People are not paying attention, right?
exactly,
They're
Yeah, and they shouldn't be on the phone when they're
Right.
driving anyhow, right?
Right.
But you see it all the time.
So, I mean, maybe we could put something up on our socials reminding people about, how important it is. And maybe we should ask the schools to also put it up on their socials. There's the Hatfield Parents page on, that's really the best way to reach a lot of people.
Very frustrating.
One side note,
And
several years back, had the honor to be on a jury panel. We were going in and judge asked, where's jury number such and such? She came in about 20 minutes later, where were you, ma'am? I was up behind a school bus. I live in Belchertown. I advise you to leave a half an hour early or you will be in contempt tomorrow. That was it. That smirk came off her face, hey, school buses are out there. Why? Summer programs. Jane, my wife, past wife, and I worked at summer programs in Northampton for many years. Hey, you're picking up monitors at certain complexes or something like that, crosswalks, you stop them to let them go. Oh, what's the school bus for? Summer programs.
right.
Definitely something we need to follow up
They're
with.
all over.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Field trips, everything.
I mean, I would hope that the police, if you're you're here obviously because you must be noticing a bit of an uptick in it. I mean, maybe the chief can have, some time dedicated to being behind school buses here and there. I mean, I know it's so random and it's needle in a haystack, right? Trying to catch this, but
Yeah.
There was an incident across from I guess it's the Mexicana restaurant. Now, I don't know what it was several years back, but a student got off, crossed the road, and there's a car that went through. Guess who was sitting right behind that restaurant? But the police cruiser. Next thing you know, what they gonna do in the bad boys? All that they're singing. So it's like the blue lights came on.
right. I mean, it would be nearly impossible, right, to catch it every time, but.
I mean, the other thing is too, we're very punctual on the time. So we're there the same time every day. If there's a school day, we're there within a minute or two.
Right.
And so these people, if it's, if they're getting stopped by a school bus, then leave early or go later or something. But you know what time we're going to be there. So, there's no reason for these people to be doing this.
Right.
I mean, and it's frustrating, and
I don't know a single person who wouldn't feel absolutely horrible if they hit a child. So it just seems like common sense that they would be cautious around school buses. So
I've had a couple of close ones that's why, I said, I got to come down and say something, so.
we'll get something up on socials and certainly, hopefully anybody who watches this.
Okay.
But we appreciate it. We appreciate you looking out for our students.
Thank you for doing
Yes.
your job.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Am I here on a second matter?
Oh.
It's, the Ag Committee, just another incident the other day with motor vehicles. I was following in my school bus because my route goes to Depot Road off of Main Street. A farmer was coming out of the fields on Upper Bashan Road that way. And once he's committed to the highway, he's going north with a large piece of equipment. This is a potato digger. It took up 3/4 of the road, if not more. And there's cement posts on both sides. And this car had to go through. The piece of equipment had to slow down, stop. I was behind it, a fair amount of feet away with my flashing lights on. And that car snuck by very, very slowly. Why couldn't they just pull up at the houses that are up the street, wait for this piece of equipment to pass, and then go? If you want to, practice for Daytona, go. Because that was known as the drag strip years ago. But it's just to see that. And it's like, if that farmer was a month or two earlier going to another field, that piece of equipment gets damaged.
Right.
As they say, SOL, right? It's not a good situation. We don't want to involve our police, fire, and ambulance in a situation like that.
Right.
Then I got a notice from the MDAR, that's Department of
Agricultural Resources.
Resources, yes. And what caught my eye was, of course, the fire danger, all part of the state except the Cape. And I mentioned livestock. Be concerned with your watering of your livestock. That's our bread and butter. Whatever if you're into goats or even into, large dairy, and other products, you know, everything decides on water. You got water rates here, but it's like, this is, you know, some serious stuff.
Mhm.
So that caught my attention because
Yeah.
I've been a farmer all my life, you know, gave a lot of water to a lot of cows, but it's like, this is serious.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get some relief soon.
Hope so. But,
All right,
you know,
John, we have somebody else we need to get to. Thanks so much. Bye, Billy, bye, John. Hi, Roland. And I know I already talked to Roland a little bit earlier today, so I know what he's coming in about. It's along the same vein.
Okay. My name is Roland Lauren, and I live at 2 School Street, apartment 4A. And I'm here to talk about the crossing lights out here on School Street and Main Street. When you press them, only one side comes on. To me, both sides should be coming on. And the one over here on School Street, I don't know, instead of being up like this, it's at sort of like on an angle. Now, as being in a car there, I don't know if anybody can even see that thing there. You know, I don't know, between the combination of you and Phil fixing them, hopefully we can do something there, because I know yesterday within 2.5 hours, I got hit almost 3 times. Once coming over here to exercise class a little before 9 o'clock. And then when I was going home from lunch there, another person almost hit me going that way too. And then at 2 o'clock there, a young gentleman from the high school came down in his car, nice sports car there, and I was going out for my walk. Well, I was going to walk across Main Street from where I live at Capawan, and he completely ignored that stop sign. He just went right through it. He didn't even attempt to stop, you know. So hopefully we all can do something here to get this stuff squared away, you know.
What is happening, Phil, with all these reckless folks lately?
So it's a wireless signal that sends the signal to each side of the pole, so something must be off with it. We'll surely get someone in.
You know, get them flashing both sides.
Because this one we didn't install, that was installed when they did the Cap One project, but
Yeah,
that was years ago.
We can have somebody take a look at it, make sure it gets fixed.
yeah.
And just a reminder, right, to same thing. If you're driving and people are in the crosswalk and the lights are flashing, and, you know, just be respectful.
Well, you know, I don't know, like you say, like with the poor bus drivers and stuff like that, some of these people here, I have no clue on what they're thinking when they're driving, you know? I know when I worked in the school system, where I worked in a system one time when I was a school crossing guard, I watched a lady come up the street, and I had 2 small children side of me, and she wasn't even attempting to slow down into the speed limit in this section of where he should have slowed down there. And I told those 2 poor children there, stay on the side of the road. And I went out there. I had on an orange vest, big old sign, stop and everything. I think she got within 2 feet of me before she realized that I was even out there. Yeah, so
Everybody needs to pay better
gotta
attention.
pay more attention.
We'll
to
see what we can
what
do
they're
about
doing
getting
there,
those
And
fixed. I know
also-
you were going to talk to Chief DeKoschak today.
I did too.
about
I
it.
went over there after lunch today. I didn't talk to the chief, but I talked to Clint.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
also I want to thank Marlene for all her years of service here. For this here for
Thank you,
the
Roland.
for
Thank
the
you.
people of Hatfield, because I had the pleasure of working for her when I worked here. Thank you.
Oh, that's nice,
Very
Roland.
thoughtful.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
kind, Roland.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and, is anyone else for public forum? Let's go ahead and move on to our consent agenda items, which are the minutes of the November 4th, November 12th, and a November 4th executive session.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of November 4th, November 12th. Executive session meeting minutes, November 4th, 2024.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Karen, thank you for preparing those. Okay, we're going to go ahead and hop right into our posted business. Topic 1 is appointments and resignations. So we have a resignation from Sara Berthe. She is resigning from her post on the Recreation Commission, so we need to vote to accept that resignation.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Sara Berthe from the Recreation Commission.
A second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
I just send a letter, thank you for her service.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Appointment to Housing Authority to fill a vacancy. I would actually like to be appointed to this, so I've been made aware of a few things of concern at the Housing Authority. First of all, they have had 2 resignations, which means they're down to three people. 3 is their quorum.
Right.
So just from a standpoint of just being able to function, we need to get that Housing Authority filled. And then the reason I personally would like to get on there is I've also been made aware of just some behavior problems and things that I think are getting in the way of that authority functioning properly. And so I am willing to step up and lend my experience to that and fix that because what I'm hearing about is completely unacceptable.
Well, the question becomes is, do you have to excuse yourself? So we discuss.
I think when it comes to vote, yeah, I just have to abstain.
Right, absolutely.
I don't have to leave.
Yes, no.
I just would have to, but I'm just explaining why I am asking for this appointment to the Housing Authority.
And I think we can explain that because of the laws. Actually, Marlene, you can explain why we have the authority to make the appointment because you can explain that.
Right. So this would be for the state appointed position.
Right.
And the state has not appointed an individual to fill that vacancy. And there is a time frame, I believe it's 120 days that they have to fill that position. And that time has passed. And so under the statute, the select board has the ability to make that appointment.
And we've also verified that
Yeah.
with legal, their housing
Yes.
legal and our legal, just to
We
make
have.
sure we're crossing all our Ts and dotting our Is before we move forward with this appointment. That's
Right.
all.
That's all I'm going to say about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, does Diana have to excuse herself before I make a motion to appoint her or?
Just back up.
I
away
can
from
just
the table
abstain.
and-
I don't have to recuse, right?
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
well, I'll make a motion to appoint Diana Szynal to the Housing Authority.
I will second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Okay.
So be it. You're now on the Housing Authority.
With all my spare time, that's all right. I'm actually looking forward to making some progress over there. I think that the people of Capewalk deserve a authority that is functioning at a professional level. Okay, so moving right along, topic 2, we're going to have a presentation and a discussion of water and sewer operation and the increase in rates with our friends from DPC and Phil and Eric. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you, appreciate it. Does everybody have a copy of the
Yes.
page handout?
Yes,
Excellent.
thank you.
Dave Prickett with DPC Engineering.
Eric Meals, contract operator for the wastewater plant.
So what we wanted to do this evening, and I think I was greeted with, you never come in with good news, Dave. It's always about money.
Actually, this might be better news than the news we were thinking we were going to get, right?
It's been a bit of a little bit of a roller coaster, I think is fair to say with, the output is the output, but we had to kind of pin down the input. So I'll give you a little high level overview of kind of what we've seen and what our recommendations are. But just to recap, we have a combined enterprise fund in Hatfield for water and sewer, meaning that your retained earnings or your piggy bank, if you will, is one pot of money. It's somewhat unique, and it's something that when we go through the rate analysis periodically, we have to kind of juggle the two sides to make sure things even out. You have approved FY25 enterprise fund budgets for both water and sewer, and your staff has developed what I would describe as very preliminary budget projections for FY26. That process has just started. With that said, things are we're reaching a plateau of stability. So on the water and sewer side, you've gone through a series of capital projects. On the wastewater side, you now have the debt service coming from the treatment plant at FY26. On the water side, you've just completed a bunch of capital projects, including Route 5. So there's been a lot of changes in the system. And on top of that, I think it's fair to say that there's been some accounting, changes over the last couple of years. So we last looked at this in October 2022, and the select board set rates for those 3 years at that time. So this evening, what we're looking at or recommending is that the board consider moving forward with a rate change for the second half of FY25. So the bills went out for water and sewer this fall for the first half billing. So we missed that first piece. So now any change we make in FY25 needs to include enough revenue to cover what would otherwise be a deficit absent a rate change. So as we get into this handout and kind of look at the numbers, you see some sharp increases as a percentage basis for both water and sewer. One of the criteria that we're looking at is not only how to balance the FY25 budget, but how to position us so that we don't have a steep incline on either the water or the sewer side in FY26. Again, with the sewer debt coming on that side, likely in FY26. And also, we want to make sure that you have enough money left in the retained earnings or the piggy bank, the rainy day fund, in the event that something go wrong, which, knock on wood, it does. It's water, wastewater. It happens. So with those goals, what we came up with I'll start on the sewer side. We're currently at a rate of $11.96 per 100 cubic foot. So your structure is entirely based on water consumption for your invoicing for sewer. We recommend that the select board consider modifying the rate for the second half of the FY25 bills, so prior to the spring bills, to $13.87 per 100 cubic foot. That is a 16% increase from the current rates. Now, in terms of the impact to residential customers, kind of on a baseline average single family home, the 16 really hits as an 8 in that 1 year because they're only paying the bill on half the year's water consumption. So that's why we got to get the whole revenue in half the year. That's why that one looks a little sharp. And then again, we've looked at what we think the rate might be for FY26, again, on a very, very preliminary budget basis. And we think we'd be looking at about an 8% increase in FY26. In 2022, we made the decision collectively to set the rates out ahead. And there was some strategic goals in that with USDA where we were trying to seek a grant, et cetera. In this case, I think we ought to tackle FY25 now and hit FY26 in the spring once we have an approved budget that the residents authorize, both expenses and revenues. So that was a lot. Let me just kind of pause here.
Yeah, I guess I would just add that, the news was much more grim at our last meeting. I mean, what were the increases looking like 50% or something?
Yeah, we were looking at a 50% rate increase.
So this is, I'm still not happy that we didn't do this in time, that it could be spread over the two bills. I understand that it's still the same amount of increase. It's just that it's all bunched in the second half.
It is.
I don't want that to happen next year. I want to do this in a timely fashion so that people I understand it's going to be an increase, but the two bills are more even.
You're busy as can be in the spring, getting ready for town meeting, but I think we discussed, Marlene.
I mean,
as
these
well,
things
that
have to be brought to us,
I think
they should have been brought to us, and I just want to be clear about that. I mean,
if we can set the rates next year in July, I think that we'll be in a good place and we won't have to worry about the rush in the fall.
Yeah.
So that's sewer. And head on to
Absolutely, the
water.
process needs to start a lot sooner than it has.
Absolutely.
I'll just add that, and we're all learning through this process. I consider myself part of your team. I'm working here for a long time with you. In the spring, when we go through setting the budget, I think we need to be a little bit more assertive with establishing the revenue budget to match the expense budget. That was a lot of the waves that I just talked about over the last month, the emotional roller coaster, trying to get through the rates, but having a revenue budget, which we technically didn't have until very recently, we should have that before town meeting, and then it'll be a much cleaner process. Fewer variables.
Absolutely.
So that's the sewer side. Again, in this business, there hasn't been a lot of good news for you or other clients. It's
So
a
just-
challenging.
Just to clarify, I know people may be hearing you say 16%.
Yep.
It's really 8%
It's
over, it's an 8% over the year.
Correct.
But because the first bills went out without the increase,
Yep.
the second half will have a 16%.
Correct.
And that's,
And honestly, these rate projections are pretty darn close to where we all were 4 years ago when we started this.
Right.
The wastewater treatment plant budget hasn't changed since 2020, the 12.0, and, with the exception of the changes to get those alternates, that's pretty solid, like relative to that. I know on Route 5, there were obviously some challenges with utilities and soil and groundwater. It's a tough place to do digging in Hatfield. So all in all, things are pretty close to where we hoped they had been 4 years ago, which is saying something. So you've managed your account well.
thank you.
On the water side, just in terms of kind of where things are at, we're at a FY24 rate of $6.31 per 100 cubic foot. For the second half of FY25, we recommend that be increased to $7.07 per 100 cubic foot. That's a 12% increase. And we looked ahead to what the tentative increase might be in FY26, and that was about 6%. So again, if we don't look at least at 2 years together, even if we don't set that second year rate, we're trying to avoid a situation where we have a really big step.
And again, it's the same situation. So it represents a 12% increase on
Correct.
the second bill. But had this been brought to us when it should have been, it would have been a 6%.
Correct. And your water rates, again, this is the beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but your water rates are still pretty modest as compared to a lot of peer communities. Again,
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like it when you get your water bill, but
Mhm.
you're ahead of the curve, if I could say, on the water side relative to that infrastructure.
And if you could just highlight on your report about what the average cost would be per month.
Yeah, on the sewer side for FY25, it represents about a $10 increase per month. Again, if you're one person in a home, you're going to be much lower than that. If you have 3 kids and teenagers, you could be a little higher than that. But we tried to seek out kind of a midpoint single family home average.
Mhm.
And then FY26 looks like about a $6 increase per month on top of that. On the water side, it's about a $5 increase for the second half of FY25 change, and then about a $2 change for the subsequent year. So again, the water impacts are a little softer.
Right.
You have a bigger customer base too,
Mhm.
on the water side.
Mhm.
But these combined, again, remember I talked about the piggy bank at the beginning? On the water side, we kind of had to go a little sharper, and on the sewer side, we went a little less steep. But the goal was to come up with a combined piggy bank dollar value of about 60% of your operating budget. So your operating budget's about 1.2 million combined between the two sides. And then at the end of FY26, we project we'll be out at about 950,000. It's 1.4 and 900,000. So it's a little over half. It's good in the event that, again, something unexpected happened, you have enough reserves to deal with it.
Actually, this is actually, I mean, it's high, but it's lower than I was afraid of. I mean, I thought it was going to be a lot higher.
Oh, I was sick to my stomach at the last
I thought it was
meeting
going to be a lot
when there
higher.
was some projections that were
Mhm.
pretty hard to swallow.
Yeah, and just to substantiate that, so people don't think we're coming out of left field, there was some confusion about the transfer from the general fund for the
Right.
debt service on both sides. And that,
Right.
I think, came in that gray period, the first 2 weeks after July 1st. So when we first ran it, it ran 7/1 to 6/30, and that transfer happened in that, whatever you want to call it, a couple week period at the end of the fiscal year. So that was when we found out that came in, otherwise it would have been a big one for this year and another sizable one for the following year. So.
Yeah, I was,
I mean, we were locked in a while back to ensure that there was a percentage increase each year. So I think we should get back to that after 2025 or 2026, try to make sure we have a small increase each year instead of getting hit with a big increase after a couple of years.
I think you're at the top of the hill here, and now things kind of plateau out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's been a rough couple of years in terms of.
right, we had to
increases.
make up some ground for many years when
Correct.
rates didn't keep up. Okay, so what do you need from us now? Do we do a hearing, or is this, we do a
You will.
hearing?
Yeah,
You
I'll
will have
defer to
to do
Marlene.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will have to do that at some point. So we're talking about the second half, second billing commitment, implementing the new rates. So we could do this in January.
I do it as soon as you practically can before
Well, the
things
board
probably
does
get
meet-
crazy with budgets after the first of the
Yeah.
year.
That's true, that's a good point. The board meets December 4th or December 3rd. Is it December 3rd? So we could have that hearing.
We might
then.
as well just do it
Okay.
and.
I think you're well informed to make whatever decision you choose
Yeah.
at that hearing. So.
I think we should just do it because you're right, we get really busy.
Yeah.
After the first of
do.
the year.
On the other hand, tax rate came down, so I mean, yes, there was a reevaluation, but maybe there's a balance here, I don't know. But I mean, costs always go up a little bit more.
Well, I do appreciate the thorough presentation, the better outlook than we had
Mhm.
at the last
Yeah.
meeting, and
That was very frightening.
and I really just want to reiterate that I do not want this kind of delay ever again, so
Mhm.
that we have that whole increase on one single bill. That's just not,
Agreed.
it's not the way I want to do it for our residents in terms of their budgeting and the bills that they expect to get. So,
Fair comment. I think we've got it ironed out for next year. Andrew will be part of the team. We'll hit the ground running for
Andrew was
FY26.
furiously taking notes over there.
So curious. It's all good.
Right. Okay.
All right.
But while you're here, do you have
Sure.
any update on the other grant stuff that you're involved with that too, right?
The
Those-
treatment plant or the
three-
asset
the
management
three
projects?
grants.
The three asset management projects,
Yeah.
we were talking a little bit about that before the meeting. Those are just kicking off now. I'd say we're pretty well into the fieldwork side of the sewer one. We're just starting the fieldwork side of the water one with Tony. We're kind of working through a little pilot there to make sure he's getting the data he wants and the way he wants it. And stormwater is the last of the three to kick off, but we talked about that before the meeting, and we'll get that one going too. So they're kind of staggered about a month apart, and they'll go at least through the end of this fiscal year and likely for the calendar year of FY25 before we get through all of it. So it'll bridge those two fiscal years, but I think the stormwater one will be the most eye-opening because it's probably the utility that's furthest behind, in terms of attention and eyes. It is in every town because it's not a formal utility with an enterprise fund, but your water and your sewer systems, you've done a really good job being proactive. So that's just that was a nice opportunity to get a grant for each of those utilities to do what we would otherwise have to do, for the regulators.
Well, as far as the water treatment plant, I mean, I am impressed with that project because we receive updates on that project. We receive pictures on that project. We receive what's happening with that project, unlike other projects we have.
Yeah,
This project's been like a blessing as far as the reporting we've been getting.
we've learned the hard way. We try to, there's a lot of things behind the curtain that Phil and Eric and Ken and everybody are dealing with, but we try to make sure that you don't get caught on the street. What's going on with that project?
Right.
Yeah. So
Eric, do you want to give just a quick overview for townspeople of how things are going on the project up there?
They're great. Schultz has been amazing to work with. There hasn't been really any hiccups. They just any kind of bump in the road, they just roll with it. And like Dave was saying with the team, they ask somebody, talk to people. We go through submittals, all that stuff, and everything's real easy. So they make it way better than some of the other projects that I've been involved with. So
My experience, they have been very
Yeah.
good
they've
to
been
work
good,
with.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And so we're on schedule,
absolutely,
on budget.
Yep.
absolutely. Yep.
Great news.
Yeah.
That is really great news. Yeah. So, thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks
Anything
for
else?
having me.
And either of you or Greg, Ed,
No,
anything
yeah,
else?
thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Appreciate it.
I didn't realize that was a thing that we could get regular updates. I'm a new guy here, so I didn't realize that was a thing, so I'm glad
When
to
they're
see
big
that.
projects like that, people got to know what's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah, I'm like, it's nice to
Yeah.
see.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yes,
Have a
thank
good
you.
Thanksgiving.
Yes,
Thanks.
thank
You
you.
too, Dave.
Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving, Eric.
Thank you, you guys too.
Okay, so Phil, you're going to just hang around for the DPW report.
All right.
So item number 1 is the Main Street Culvert Restoration Project. You're looking for a request to authorize notice to proceed to the contractor, who is EJ Prescott.
So Marlene has a concern that they didn't fulfill.
They have not fulfilled the contract obligation, so I'm not recommending that the board authorize this notice to proceed.
So then what do we
What
do?
are we missing?
The certificate of workers' comp coverage.
So we're awaiting the certificate of workman's comp compliance, correct?
Correct.
So I'm just going to say.
So then what happens to the project? We just.
Well, they don't proceed until they. provide
Right.
that.
They can't start the project
Oh,
until.
we have to have that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would we have to do? Have an emergency meeting?
Well, I'm hoping December 4th, by December 4th, or have a meeting sooner. Do you know when they're
Could we
planning?
I mean, don't they need to get this? I thought this. had
I
to get
thought they would
started
have already
before-
started,
Yeah.
but,
Authorize it pending that? Because I know they want to get on it really soon.
yeah.
What are we
Well,
waiting?
I was going to.
Lack of communication.
Let me get this
with
right.
them.
We're waiting for something on this project?
Yes,
What is it?
certificate of insurance for workers'
Okay,
compensation.
so, I mean, on the other hand, could we approve it pending the
That's
submittal,
what, great.
right?
Mhm.
So that we don't delay it in case they want to get
Mhm,
that thing done?
You could do that. Yeah, I mean,
Maybe not
because
approve it and
they-
send a message that, we need to,
Yeah.
yeah.
we expect
Yeah.
ducks in a row and things
Yeah.
to get going.
I mean, there were two things missing, the payment bond and the workers' comp certificate of insurance. They came in 2 weeks ago with the payment bond, and I asked them about the insurance certificate, and they said they would get that for me. That was just about 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
So I expected it, and I was optimistic that, we can move forward with this notice to proceed for the select board to authorize. But I just asked Phil just prior to the meeting, have you received it from them? Because they haven't been here with it.
but we
Yep.
could approve pending once we get it. then.
I mean, they could walk in tomorrow with it maybe, or.
Yeah, I mean, the other problem
any
with
day
with
this week.
hesitating and not doing it until we not taking the vote until we have it, you're running into a holiday next week.
Right,
It's going
right.
to get harder and harder for
Yeah,
us.
it is.
Convene.
But they
So,
know that we're waiting for this.
what do you think is best? Do you want us to do it, to not approve it at all and put the pressure on them, or to approve it pending?
Well, putting the pressure on them, I agree with that, but then really, ultimately, it puts pressure on the select board to try to squeeze in an emergency meeting before December 4th if they don't want to wait until December 4th. So I think that's unfair to the select board. But I'm comfortable with the board authorizing it pending receipt of the workers'
That
comp
sounds good.
certificate.
I mean, that sounds like the quickest way to get the project going.
Yes,
Right.
I would agree with
I
that.
mean, it's not so much about, I mean, I would do an emergency meeting if we had to do it, but
Yeah.
if we do it
Yeah.
this
But-
way, then
Yeah.
it's good to go right
But you're
away.
right, though, you get
Because
into
we
the
don't know what's
holiday
going to, the
season.
weather could change like that, and then they're not even able to do it.
I mean, if you call them and say, yes, we're going to approve this, but we're waiting for that one piece of paper and we can't do it until we get that piece of paper.
Yeah.
Which
That
they've been
might-
told.
Oh, they're aware of it.
Yeah.
They're aware of it. I met with the representative that came in with the payment bond.
Well, it seems like the quickest way, assuming they get us that.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve this pending, what we're waiting for now?
Pending receipt of certificate of insurance for workers' compensation
Okay,
coverage.
pending receipt of workman's comp insurance and to proceed with our project.
One second.
A motion made and second. Any further discussion?
Now, this is for the culvert
Right,
project. So I just want
Main
to,
Street culvert.
so
Oh.
I'll second that.
I think you made the motion and Greg seconded it. So
Okay.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Let's talk about the Elgin.
Anybody want it? It's 41 years
It's
old.
been a good run. It's had a good run.
For a piece of DPW equipment that has a 6 to 8 year lifespan, it's 41 years old, so the warranty's up.
This is the sweeper.
Correct.
And if I recall, the reason you're actually surplusing it is because you're going to outsource the sweeping.
Correct. Yes, it was
So-
approved at last year's
You need to sign
budget presentation that we had money allocated to hire out the service.
Well, big thanks to the Elgin for 41 years. That's pretty remarkable. I'll have to tell Jim about that when I get home. I'm sure he'll have comments after having worked on that thing for many years.
Maybe he wants it.
I know, I can assure you he does not. So,
It's for antique plates.
That's
I mean,
right.
basically, right?
so we need to vote to declare that surplus. So I'll make a motion that we declare the 1983 Elgin Street Sweeper as surplus property.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Marlene, backtracking a little bit, this appointment of myself to the Housing Authority was
Can't
in
sign
here.
that. You
I can't, does it matter who
I
signs
don't,
it?
no, it doesn't.
Okay. I guess Greg can sign it.
If both
Okay.
Ed and
Oh,
Greg would
you
like to
could-
sign
why
it,
don't-
both
why
of
don't you
them
both
could.
sign it?
Yeah.
That would be good. Okay, so number 3, discussion of maintaining elementary school grounds, including recreational fields. So I assume this is coming up because we were contacted by a resident who was concerned about the condition, and certainly the pictures are not good looking.
No.
So go ahead.
As far as my department, we have never done any of the trimming around any of those structures or the backstops back there.
This is at the back behind the elementary school where they have playing fields. They have the baseball fields and soccer fields back there.
Plus, they have a couple storage buildings for the rec equipment.
Right.
So it's either been the recreation volunteers that have done it or the school. We have never done it. All we do is mow the soccer field and the baseball field back there.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
all we do.
I know people from either the rec commission or volunteers had offered in the past. They bring their equipment over and do it because it was so bad. And then they have discussed whether DPW could maintain it because it's difficult for them to, make time to do
I mean,
it.
on one hand, this is
I mean, this-
town-owned,
Yeah, go
this
ahead.
is all town-owned property.
It is.
And that's something we should be taking care of.
We should be.
So again, it's school property and it's exactly like Smith Academy where they have to go out and trim by the backstops around all their fields and we mow the main fields, but we do not do any of the handwork trimming. That's the custodian's responsibility.
I mean, I would agree with that. I happen to have a meeting with Connor tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, I think. And, I can certainly mention it to him. We want to be consistent.
Mhm.
I mean, they have staff that can do this. They have custodial staff that does
They do.
the, to your point, Phil, around, anything like weed whacking or whatever.
It was our same request when they had homecoming and no one did it around Smith Academy, around any of the fence lines or around any of the structures that are out there. And, we had to pull people off of our what we were doing to do it, and we did it, because it was homecoming. I mean, you're not gonna leave.
I'd
it
like to get
that.
something from the school committee that tells us who, I'd like to find out in writing somehow
Mhm.
who is responsible for the weed whacking. Is it, if the schools accept the fact that they're responsible, then we can say you have to do it. But if the school says the DPW needs to do it, I mean, it's finger pointings. We've already had a couple of issues with the field hockey field getting sort of crapped up because it wasn't being taken care of. And now we got this down here. So I think we really need to get a handle on exactly who's going to take care of this stuff. Whether is a custodian's specification in their job description say weed whacking or not? Do we have any job descriptions for the custodians that outline what their responsibilities are or not? I
I
mean,
think it goes back to when the DPW took over the mowing of the fields. I think it goes way back to see what was exactly our responsibility.
Seems like something that would be fairly easy to
It's
clarify.
very, very.
So we need to get some clarification so that we don't have any town property that ends up in the condition
Correct.
that we have it in right now. It looks terrible. Somebody's got to take care of it. And if should be the school department, then it should be the school
And
department.
if it does fall back to the DPW, we surely will maintain it as we do the cemeteries. I mean.
Right.
But right now, we don't have the seasonal help. I mean, if it was something that was addressed in October, we could have done it.
So, but but is it fair to say though, Phil, that in your travels, you're back there for other things and noticed this and could have said something?
I don't go back there.
You don't go back
I
there.
go as
There's
far as
no
the main
town,
streets,
yeah.
We have no,
but somebody was mowing.
yeah.
Somebody was mowing, but I mean, it seems like things like this shouldn't get to the point. I mean, those pictures they're bad. I don't go back there anymore either. And, I don't have kids playing in rec, but, I'd like to have,
Well, I mean,
you
as
know,
soon as we get
things-
clarification, if it's us, we'll take care of it as we always do.
so yeah, let's get some clarification because I don't want to be pointing fingers back and forth. So when spring comes, everybody knows who's supposed to be taking care of what.
and who's going to do it right now? Why don't you talk to Connor? I mean, I'll mention it to Connor. That's not what we're meeting about
Just,
tomorrow.
Call me tomorrow or whatever after you meet with them. I mean, if we have to send somebody down there to weed whack it, we will do it.
Okay.
All right, how's this going to be figured out, though? How are we going to find out who's responsible?
I think Connor should know.
Okay.
I know they do Smith Academy, so.
I know that you have facilities meetings with Connor or the school committee.
We have it with Connor every,
Okay, has that ever been discussed?
that have never
Previously?
been discussed.
That little, the house and the soccer goals and all of that, though, they're recreation commission, right? So is it maybe that Connor thinks they shouldn't have to be weed whacking around things that are really the rec
Because,
department?
once you see, like, when you had the recreation volunteers doing it, nobody paid attention to who was supposed to do it because they did it.
They were taking care of it on their own.
And now that
Mm.
those people have moved on, you have a problem.
I mean, years ago, you had Franny Engelhardt. He used to bring his own mower down and do the field. So
They don't
that-
make them like Franny Engelhardt anymore. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, you are in charge of facilities, so you should be able to
I'm not in
iron
charge
something
of
out with Connor
custodians.
on who's going to take care of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think, right, that really it should come, you should take the initiative to meet with this, whoever it is at the school, whether it's Connor or, Chrissy or whoever, and figure this out.
We can do that.
I would like
There
you
you
to do that. I will mention it to Connor. I'll add it to our conversation tomorrow, but this should be pretty easy to figure out. And I mean, if it's it might be a little tough to be weed whacking around all these supplies that are recreation commission supplies. They're not school department supplies, the goals and that sort of stuff, right?
That's what it is.
Okay,
You will mention to Connor then.
I
that
will
Phil will
mention
be
to
in
Connor.
touch with him.
but
I'll
I mean, Phil, this is for you to figure out with them. Okay, next is, we have a water and sewer abatement for 7 Nolan Circle. This is very sizable, Phil. What is the,
We don't know. That's the problem, is we don't know. Something happened. We're changing the meter out on Thursday to that home. This happened before, and it happened again during this cycle. Well, during both cycles, because usually when you have the winter cycle, it's pretty consistent of what you use during the winter months when we have that reading. And this was just like,
so you believe it could be a malfunctioning meter? I mean, this is
yeah,
an
we're taking it out
astronomical.
tomorrow. We're taking
So
it
I
out.
know
Water
that
and
the
sewer bill.
customer has had a plumber come out once or twice to check everything on the property and in the home. And the customer felt that the problem was the meter and has expressed that to the water department, I believe for several, maybe for over a year. Because I understand there's some history of high bills.
It's a mystery.
So,
a mystery.
and
So we're
nothing,
changing the
nothing has
meter.
been done.
Changing the meter. Okay, and so the abatement amounts are based on,
Well, we look back in 2020, 2021.
so they did have normal bills at one point,
Yes.
and then these are like
Yeah, and
bombs
then
last
something
being
happened.
dropped on them, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Well, as long as we're changing the meter and trying to figure out what the problem is. Okay. I'll take a motion on
I'll
that.
make a motion to abate water in the amount of $1,954.79 and sewer in the amount of $4,009, totaling $5,963.79 for 7 Nolan Circle, Hatfield.
Second it.
A motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Well, I'm glad we're trying to get to the bottom of it so it doesn't happen again. There you go. All right, Phil, that looks like it. You good, or you have something
So
else?
I just have one other thing. We received the email today at 4:23 about the Route 5 project update.
Yeah.
Did you see it or no?
I haven't had
I'm
a
just gonna,
chance
let me
to
just
see
read the
it.
bullet points.
Yeah,
of
just
it.
please do.
So this came from an engineer from CEI, Mike Wall. So his bullet points are, the
Good.
testing of all the sewer main is to be completed this week. So they're testing the line for leaks, which they haven't found any, so we're good. All the laterals have been installed. The electrical subcontractor met yesterday on site with Eversource about energizing the service. The local inspector signed off on Friday, November 8th. Eversource has not provided a specific date yet. May still be a few weeks out to power up the pump station. Contractor is cleaning up the staging area behind house 53 and 57 so that all materials are removed before the winter. And the contractor has the paving subcontractors Warner Brothers scheduled for next Tuesday, 11/26, to level the entire work area as similar to what they did last year.
That is a great update.
That's great
So
news.
that's all great news. So getting that equipment out from behind those homes,
Yeah.
I'm sure those
Yeah.
people will be so happy to see
So
that
my
go.
conversation with Ryan is he wants to have it all removed by the winter, so he's
Yeah.
moving all the piles out.
And obviously, they can't do the restoration of some of the lawns and
No,
things
I
until
saw them out there today.
spring.
They were leveling the lawns out the best
Right.
they could, but for the looming and seeding part,
Right,
what happened
that's gonna have to be this spring.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions about that, and I don't know what house number it is, but there's like a green pipe that sticks out of the road.
That.
That's gonna
That'll
come
be
out?
removed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about the fencing and eyesore that is around the pump station right now? When does that get,
That won't be, I don't think it's gonna be removed.
huh?
I don't think it will be removed.
The
until-
fencing is gonna stay there?
For now, because they're still working there with the electric.
Okay, but eventually it will be
Eventually it
removed.
will.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But
And
as
that
you-
will be-
as you
'cause that whole
recall,
area
I
really
forgot
doesn't
now,
look
it's been
great.
so long that what the change was, because about the fence and then the shrubbery, there was a change there about
Well,
it.
we were supposed to do some landscaping with some arborvitaes or some type of,
Some balusters and,
yeah.
so that probably won't be done to the spring, I would say,
So the fencing will remain all winter?
I would say.
They might not have power till spring.
Yeah, it's on Eversource now. Everything else has been inspected. It's ready to go. It's ready to be powered up.
I mean, the fence isn't even like complete circle, right? It's just like open.
Just
it just-
temporary construction fence, that's all it
Yeah.
is.
And the roller coaster road, they're
It'll
supposed
be
to fix.
smooth like it was last year, and then I suspect that the state's gonna do the rest of that.
In the
I-
spring.
In the spring, I would imagine where they ended at Chestnut Street, they're gonna still come south.
So they're not gonna fix any of the dips in that road or do something with the
not.
dips.
They better not be. But, you know,
I mean, they said
that's-
they were going to, but of course, they've said a lot of things on this project that haven't come true, so.
Well, last year's winter patch was good. I mean, they milled it and then they paved, they paved half the lane, so I expect the same thing.
I mean, the snow plowers, if that road is like this, it's gonna
Just
be.
drive down it.
I drive it every single day. I
Me
could take
too.
a different direction. I like to go that way because I like to wave to Greg,
Yeah.
but also see what's going on.
Stir your
And,
coffee, you don't need a stir.
it's definitely, clearly, things are clearing out. It's looking a little bit better.
Yeah, hopefully the residents and businesses will, tie into our sewer line that we provide.
Let's hope so. And I'm glad that they'll get a little relief before winter and then.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was
Right now, nobody can tie in yet anyway,
Not that that
so,
pump station's energized.
right.
so, I mean, might
A
as well
little late
look
in the
at,
season, but like I said before, it would be good if the residents got together and try to hire one contractor to do the tie-ins, whoever's gonna tie in to get a better price. I mean, because you get different contractors that gotta move
Right.
different pieces of equipment down there, and it's gonna be more costly, where if you get one contractor to do it,
so my last question is, we agreed here that once we have completion, then we have a 2-year period to abate any fees for them to
Just
tie
thinking
in.
about that.
So we have yet to establish that date.
Well, I was just thinking the same thing, and I was going to suggest that we should take a look at if a date was set, because you may need to reconsider that date.
But we said 2 years from
Completion, I thought we
From
said.
and it hasn't
completion.
been completed
We
yet.
haven't
Okay.
set a date yet.
Yeah, I don't think there was a specific date.
No,
given.
there wasn't. It was just 2 years from when we
Okay.
determined it was completed.
Okay.
So it's not completed yet, so that, I would say the clock is still open on that.
Mhm.
right. Yeah, you need a final completion, and, they'll be eligible to tie into the infrastructure, and then you can have the 2-year.
And realistically, you can't expect them to tie in when it's, ice and snow out there either, so
That's what I'm saying. If
maybe
it
it'll
was
be
me
from
sitting
spring.
in one of those residents and looking, as we've had many people ask when we can tie in, that I would be putting a plan together for the spring.
I mean, can we communicate that with the residents? And actually, to your point, Phil, about, seeing if they want to work together to get one contractor to, maybe even help them communicate over that? Like, we have all their emails and everything, right?
I don't have all their email addresses, no.
Oh, how do we send them notices? By snail
We
mail?
have sent letters in the mail.
Oh,
We've
letters.
obtained we have an abutters list and
Oh.
sent.
I did talk to a couple contractors, and they said they can't really give one price for all the houses because each house has to be looked at individually, because code, as far as code, the plumbing may have to be adjusted or changed, and distances are different.
Correct.
So, and when you say one contractor, I'm not sure.
Just saying to get the same contractor to do the tie-ins at the same time.
Yeah, so that they're just one person
Still,
bringing
diff-
one set of equipment in and all of
So
that.
he moves from
Understanding.
house 47 to house 49, and then he
Right.
just keeps going down the
Right.
road instead of packing up.
And
his
obviously, they
equipment.
might all be different costs, but
Oh, they're all
it's,
gonna
yeah,
be different costs, correct. But
I mean, that's something. they
That's
can
on them,
work-
though,
They'll have
right?
to
We
work that out.
that is on them.
yeah.
So paving on Tuesday, or milling,
The 20, what did I
is that what you
say?
said?
He had said a few days ago
26th.
before
The
Thanksgiving,
26th,
26th.
Which is
Beware.
Wednesday?
That's Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
Okay.
I mean, it'll take them a day. They'll
So they're
mill
going to mill it?
Yeah.
They're gonna mill it and pave it, so it'll be done before Thanksgiving.
Wow, okay, that's a
That's so good.
heavy traffic time too. but
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Especially if anything happens on 91.
Please.
I don't usually have a very pessimistic view, but I don't know where that came from. But anyway, okay. Well, good update. Very good update.
That's it.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Phil. Okay, moving right along. Topic 4, town administrator. Who's taking it?
I will.
Okay.
I'll get the next one.
Andrew's on his own the next, I'll be at the next meeting, but Andrew's going to take the next meeting.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right, so you have received notification from the Division of Local Services that free cash, FY24 free cash has been certified for $1,108,434. Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund certification is $564,439, which is a sizable amount. I think last year was 300 and something. Cable Enterprise Fund certification, $217,785. FY25, which is the current fiscal year, the treasurer and the accountant are reconciled through September.
That's great.
And fiscal year 25 water and sewer collections is at 95%.
Wow.
We have 41,000 outstanding. 68,000 of the FY24 water and sewer commitment 2 is uncollected, and the treasurer will be leaning accounts on December 1st.
Okay.
For real estate, FY25 real estate, 197,061 is outstanding. So water and sewer, they were both due November 1st.
Okay.
FY25.
So, okay, well, those are actually pretty good collection
Yeah,
rates.
Not bad.
I know we used to get occasionally a tax title update, maybe more so during budget season or whatever. I mean, is there anything?
There is working on that. So yes, I'll follow up with her.
You know,
and see if
I
she
know there
can-
was some accounts cleaned up
Yeah.
over the last handful of years. I'm just curious where we stand on some of those.
Okay.
I think that's great. I mean, when I first got on the board, we didn't even know what free cash was up until the town meeting. It was
And
pulling our
that's it.
hair
That's
out.
great. That amount should allow us to maybe be able to accomplish some capital
Some capital projects.
in a
Yeah.
time when,
And
resources are tight.
I would of course suggest, putting some money into
Into
stabilization.
stabilization.
Just think that's wise to do. And actually, Andrew and I were just talking about the financial policies the other day, and those need to be updated. So yeah, we were going to refer to the financial policies because there is a recommendation, the percentage of money that goes into the stabilization fund on an annual basis. So I did anticipate the accountant to join us tonight. She wasn't able to, but she will be joining remotely the board's meeting on December 4th.
Okay.
Give a presentation.
And we just have that one meeting in December.
Yes,
Yep.
at this point, yes.
Okay.
And just quickly, the auditors are on site this week, and they indicated this afternoon that they should be finished up tomorrow.
Oh.
So that's pretty good. They've
Wow.
been here, started yesterday. They did start some work a few weeks ago. But yeah, on site for 3 days this week, and they expect to have FY24 audited.
Did you say that the department head meeting was moved to tomorrow?
To next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Okay. I just wanted to
Same
make sure
time, 9:30.
9:30 next Tuesday, the 26th. Okay. I just want to put that on my calendar. Department heads, the 26th at
9:30.
9:30. Okay. I may or may not be able to be there, but
Okay. The Council on Aging Center floor removal and installation bid solicitation. So we did issue an addendum number 1. You should have a copy of that in your packet. The deadline was extended, and that deadline is tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Bids will be opened.
Do you have
And
any bids yet?
Actually, a few have come in.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've received 2 today.
That's good.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So there was a site visit. There was some questions about what the town would be responsible for boxing up downstairs. And I'm going to have to follow up with Phil regarding heavy equipment because I've had a couple conversations with 2 different contractors who are really not comfortable doing that. And I understand, for the town to absorb that cost, it is foolish because of course it would be at prevailing wages for them to move the furniture.
What do you mean heavy equipment?
Heavy furniture.
Oh,
I should
heavy
say.
furniture. Okay.
Desks,
Right. Bookcases.
pretty much bookcases.
So
yeah.
how do you feel about that, Phil?
Council on Aging is going to box up all the books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so that was an alternate one added to the bid solicitation to quote a price to move the furniture.
And how long will the center be closed?
I would expect probably 5-6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So
is
I
that expected
understand-
to start in January?
Well, let's see, we had said that
I mean, we just have
have
to
it
have the
here.
contract in place, right?
right, we have to have the contract in place prior to December 31st. My plan is to have the select board vote to approve a contract December 4th
Okay.
or December 3rd. I don't know why I keep saying the 4th.
So that's fine. We've
Yeah.
met the ARPA requirements, and then it's just a matter of coordinating with Jerry because
Right.
there'll be no meal site.
Right, and this was the best time. I also was told today that actually this is a very good time to bid this project because it's slow for contractors.
Right.
A lot of them have work in schools, colleges, so anywhere from May through, October, they're very busy. So, the rate could be a little less.
And maybe a little quicker.
Quicker.
Mm.
I understand that the prep is really what's pretty painful. It's extensive work.
And
Putting
we
the
would
floor
like it
down
done
is
right.
easy. Yes.
Mhm.
And so does Jerry have a provision for will the center just close?
Well, she was going to set up and move her, computer and the assistant directors to another area. However, she has been advised that she probably should relocate, move out of the
I would assume
center.
there's some odors.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, could be.
And, but I know Jerry will figure something
Yeah.
out. I'm talking
Well,
about the actual center
So
and the
the actual
services.
activities that the
Right.
center provides, she'd had a conversation with me and had inquired about the second floor. And I had told her that, we could accommodate that. I know that, they have exercise classes and bingo on Wednesdays. I think office staff on the first floor might be concerned about a lot of noise up there, but I think they'll be relatively
Did we
quiet.
get any?
I'm
Oh, and the
worried.
meals would be up there as well.
Did we get any?
Meals would be up there.
Yes,
We get any completion dates on upstairs? I know they're close. They're just.
they're
just need
very
to-
close.
But I mean, they just have a couple little things left to do. Did they say when they're going to finish that?
He expects to be done by the end of this month.
That's great.
Mhm.
Both
To be
electrical and.
Everything will be done as far as the two room spaces that they're working on right now.
And you might need
the
help
controller.
moving that refrigerator and stuff up there. too.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
I'll be
Okay.
glad when that's moved out of here. I just don't, yeah. Don't like it.
No, I know it's not.
Mm.
I don't know. Been there for so long, I don't even notice it.
Yeah.
But so, all right, so that's nice that the
Yeah.
congregate meals can still take place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But actually, I spoke with Jerry just shortly before coming to the meeting tonight. And she thinks that, they may have to move their office operations. So we're going to have a conversation with her tomorrow morning.
About where to,
Options that, we can consider. Yeah.
Okay.
As far as furniture for the conference room up there, we're still in the process of working on that. But those other 2 rooms are to be completed or will be completed by the end of November.
That'd be nice for John to move out of the closet.
well, that's great. Okay. Everybody good with that? That topic?
Yeah.
So next is the MassWorks grant.
MassWorks grant, as I, periodically update you that the quarterly report for July and September was submitted, but we did submit a reimbursement request for $303,867.70, and that was received on November 5th. So the next quarterly report will be due in January, which Andrew will be working on. So
And you're good with that, Andrew?
That'll be fine. Yep.
Excellent.
we were talking
Marlene's
about
got a-
that
I'm
today.
sure you're
Foundation.
looking forward to it.
Nothing like state grants.
Oh,
It's a little trial and
ugh,
error. So you get it just right.
Okay, great.
So as far as 5 and 10, Phil, did anybody get back to us on Stibo? I know it was in probate, whether or not they're helping to build, or it's still delayed until after probate, or how is that?
I personally have not heard
Okay.
from Erica, but that doesn't mean that something will go in there.
In where?
Well, under the MassWorks project that Stibo was supposed to build on Chestnut Street, a building,
Right,
and then it got held up because Frank
Right.
passed away.
right.
So.
It was going to be like a warehouse, right? Like
Right.
a storage
Mhm.
And a dog park.
and a dog park,
Mhm.
right?
And they're going to repurpose that barn.
Right.
Yeah. To
Because
do
they
that.
did work on the barn, and then unfortunately, Frank's passing, I think,
Yeah.
threw a wrench in the whole thing.
Yeah.
And just to the north of that, there's plenty of activity going on for building with the new pickleball facility,
Yeah,
construction company coming in.
yeah.
I mean, I see
It's a
the,
prime area, so if it's not him, it will be somebody else.
I have a contact, Eric East, that works for
Yeah.
Stibo, so I will follow up with Erica and
Yeah.
see where things are at.
I know the
Their plans
pickleball
for
court
that.
is moving along over on,
Poured concrete last week.
And there's a new home on North Street. The foundation is in for that. Okay, great. So next is the allocation of the remaining ARPA funds.
So you have a spreadsheet in front of you,
Mhm.
right? Yes, and
how much money is left now? 37,000?
well, if you look at the left-hand corner here, so project balances that closed to date, there's $1,317.71. Unobligated funds is $25,965.44. So that number plus the 1,317.
Oh,
I got 27.
It's 20, the total of unobligated, well, so the 1,317 is available because a couple of projects have closed out.
okay. And they
And-
came in a little less than
Right.
expected. Okay,
So you have $27,283 to spend.
okay.
The fire chief reminded me that on the capital plan, there was a request for PPE. And I went back and looked at the capital planning committee's meeting. They reconvened on June 6th. And it's noted in those meeting minutes. If there's a remaining balance to be spent at the discretion of the select board, that you consider funding PPE for the fire department.
And we mean not PPE, like people are thinking PPE like COVID masks.
Oh,
We're talking
okay.
about actual turnout gear.
Personal protective equipment.
Yeah, I know that's what it means,
Right,
but
but
I
I
think
mean, that
most
could-
people have now
right.
started to think,
Everybody
Right.
just.
we're not
yeah,
going to buy
PPE.
$27,000 worth
Oh,
of
You're
that.
right.
It
yeah.
is
No,
turnout gear.
It's protective gear,
Yeah,
yeah, for the
turnout gear
firefighters.
And so I guess I would just say, one of the reasons we decided, the capital planning decided to use whatever was left over for PPE is because it can be ordered pretty quickly last minute. And we don't know what the bids are yet on the floor.
Right.
So we don't really know what are unobligated. And
Plus, I have a few projects out there that haven't been completed as well, so we don't know what the cost is gonna be.
right, so like the porch, right? Is that,
The porch.
I just got another question. I mean, just one of my hope lists here is, I thought you got me a price once for the flagpole out there to be painted. What was that? Do you remember what the cost was for them to paint the flagpole out here in front of Town Hall?
I don't remember.
Was it less than $1,000?
I don't know. I mean, we can look at it in the spring. I mean, not gonna paint it now. It's too.
yeah, and it would not be an ARPA fund.
Why not?
And so honestly, because I think it's a great project, but we were pretty sticky that these
Yeah.
were things to be taken off the capital plan.
And what is your reference to a porch?
What's that?
Porch? Did you say porch?
Oh, the back door
No,
of the
I
fire
did,
station.
the
The
little,
front of the fire.
Oh,
Yeah.
the doorway, the
Yeah.
alcove there,
Yeah.
okay. I was thinking
So-
porch.
So
The
that's,
other
so that's
thing-
outstanding, and then the other one, Tony has, the filtration control is outstanding. But I think he spent down the money this week, the $12,079.
so what I'd like to do is get a better handle on that by the December 4th meeting on all of these things. Phil, whatever you don't have closed out yet, we'll know about the floor bids. So we'll have a much better idea of what that unobligated number is, correct?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And then we don't really know what the final number might be on we switched the school project to the steamer. I mean, we don't have an actual final number. They didn't bid that yet, right?
My understanding, talking with Connor, what was at the last meeting, actually, they had quotes for that steamer, and I think they just needed to purchase it.
Oh,
And I know they received a quote today or yesterday from Cody for the HVAC system at Smith Academy, so.
Okay.
So there's still some,
So they need
we
to-
don't
yeah.
necessarily know that this
Yeah.
27,000.
The steamer was like 36,000. I did talk to Connor on the steamer. I just wanted to make sure we were comparing apples to apples, because when I looked up steamers, they were at a lower cost. But once he gave me the model number and I compared it, actually, he got a lower cost than what's online for that model by a couple of $1,000s, so.
Well, Phil, for the fire station entrance there, you still have 22,880 available. So I understand though that work, but you're still going to use some of it for work that the DPW is going
The
to
DPW,
do.
we're gonna buy the
Materials.
material, so we have to pay the tax. So we're gonna buy the material, and I met with Ross this morning about the material list, so he's gonna get that to me, and we'll just go to RK and put it on orders.
Okay.
So my point is, there's some information missing from but the capital planning committee did decide that whatever small amount of ARPA was left over.
Yeah.
Would be for turnout gear. And it was really specifically because obviously we need to keep updated turnout gear, but it was something that Bob could do quickly by the end of the year.
Mhm.
So I don't think we're there yet.
Okay. Darn.
Well,
We're getting there.
No.
We're getting
well, according
there.
to this report, there is some money in fire that you approved for ARPA funding. I don't know if it's the same report that you have, or that's been expended since I received this report.
Are you talking about the EMT coverage?
Yeah.
Yeah, my understanding is they were going to be spending that.
There's also fire equipment ARPA on here, which I assume is separate.
Fire equipment, ARPA.
Right above EMT coverage.
Oh, yeah, 1,868 is left.
Yeah. I assume it's a different
I mean,
piece of equipment.
it would just be the board's decision to allocate the money to the fire gear instead of if he doesn't spend it, as you did in
Yeah.
school.
Right.
Great.
So we
I'll
just
check with the
need-
fire chief again, because I did reach out to fire DPW about the status of these projects.
Speaking of fire, we have this, the sheet for the EMT or call volunteer firefighter being hired. We don't have to vote that, right? We just sign it.
Correct. Under the strong chief's law, he has
Right.
the authority to hire.
Okay, so we will revisit hopefully a final determination on ARPA on December 4th.
Mhm.
And that will give us any outstanding balances of any of the ARPA funds that we've spent. And so we can get it all designated or spent or
We'll know
whatever.
that bottom, that number
Yes,
that,
you will.
for turnout gear. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, last, topic 6. Greg.
I met with Ann Goby, the Director of Rural Affairs, along with the fire chief, to discuss staffing problems that the fire chief has had.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had talked about it before, about how to mix the staff up so that a paramedic could work with a
Right.
first responder, not just an EMT.
Right.
And we explained how that was difficult for us. And it was great to have her out here, and I understand she's already starting to make a difference and has reported back to Department of Public Health these things. And there's been some other departments that have also spoken to her about the same exact thing. So it's moving right along. So thanks to Ann for coming out here and being really nice and being active for us.
She is fantastic.
Yeah.
I've known her
He's
for
doing a very
uh,
good job.
decades. And, it's one of those things that I think, maybe just doesn't occur
Right.
to,
Mm.
most of the eastern part of the state where, the staffing issues are a little different.
No, and having her out here and willing to come out and meet with us and sit down and really listen and already doing something. There's already some waves about it. It's good.
I'm not surprised
It's good.
because she is very capable.
Yeah.
And that's great. Thanks for doing that.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. So that was just explaining to her, I guess, that we have these, there's rules about response. I know you just alluded to it, but it's a particularly burdensome to rural
Yes.
and small departments like we have.
Right. When we have limited staff and they're volunteers, so they're mixing at different times.
Right.
You don't know if an EMT is going to show up or a paramedic's going to show up or a first responder is going to show up. So having any of those two combinations should staff an ambulance, where currently some of the combinations, you're not allowed to staff an ambulance. So that was
Right.
that was what we were going for, saying let's,
Was she aware of that?
no,
Oh,
not
See,
quite
so
like
that's
that.
great.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like that during COVID, and it was working very good.
Right.
But they pulled that back the October before last, October of 2023, and just went back to the old rules, and it's affected a lot of departments, especially Western Mass.
Our ability specifically to transport,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So we can
something
show
that was
up and we
working
can
very
be,
well.
Yes.
our
it was
Wasn't
department
very well.
can-
broken.
Right.
our department can begin administering care, but they can't transport
Right.
Right.
unless there's particular combinations of
Right.
those
Even though
folks.
they had the same staff that they had
Right,
last year doing the same exact job.
exactly.
Yep.
And capable, those are capable,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
qualified people to be able to care for and transport a
Yes.
patient.
Agreed.
So maybe there'll be some movement on that.
Yes,
That would
I hope so.
drastically change the challenges that I think Bob and all of the other rural departments around here
Yes.
are. So look at you go. That's
Oh, yeah.
great. That's great. I don't have anything else.
Just happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Make
Yeah,
a
happy
motion to
Thanksgiving.
adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, John.